This is a demonstration of doing spatial analytics in SpatialXL and how it differs from Power BI, and the further functionality SpatialXL offers. SpatialXL is an Excel mapping and spatial analytics tool. SpatialXL works seamlessly with 2D or 3D data. Data can be mapped directly from a worksheet, and a live link is maintained between the map and the Excel data. SpatialXL can be used alongside Power BI. SpatialXL offers finer control and more advanced analytics in terms of spatial analysis. SpatialXL does not integrate directly with Power BI because it does not need to. Just like Power BI, SpatialXL can link directly with the data in your Excel workbook. So the same Excel data used in Power BI can be used in SpatialXL. Any Power BI or Power Pivot data can be used in SpatialXL as long as that data exists in the Excel workbook in a worksheet. In this example over here, I have some data that I added to a data model so I could do a Power Pivot from it. You can see it added over here. Once it was added, I inserted a pivot straight from that data model over here. I then added this pivot straight from the worksheet to the map in SpatialXL over here. You can see it plotted those points for me from the coordinates in the data. Once it is added to the map in SpatialXL, it is linked up so that if I do any filter on this pivot, it also filters on the map here. I can also zoom to a specific customer in my list here, straight from the worksheet to the map by going to the SpatialXL tab, clicking on a row, and then saying zoom selected. I can also do a zoom and highlight so that it highlights the point for me as well in yellow so I can see it more clearly. If I put on auto select and auto zoom, it's even easier. I can just click on a row and it will automatically zoom and highlight to that point for me. Once this data has been added in SpatialXL, I can do various theming and analytics on it. And to show you that, I'm going to bring up a presentation tool in SpatialXL called Storyboard. As I click through each node of a storyboard, it will take me to that screen state that was saved previously by me. As I went over before, I added the data in sheet 1 to a data model. I then created a pivot table from that, and then I added that pivot table to SpatialXL. I then did a visits theme on that data in SpatialXL here. You can see it's themed by the number of visits of each point. I can tick on and off different parts of that theme to look at different areas with high number of visits, for example. I then also did a heat map theme on the average turnover of each of my points here. And you can see it's also added here with a legend. Now what we could also do is a 3D map. You have this capability in SpatialXL, similar to the capability in Power Maps or 3D maps in Excel. So you can see on my map here, I did a theme on the average turnover of each point with 3D bars. The higher bars have a higher average turnover, and I also used a color theme at the same time with the darker red colors being the higher turnover points. You can zoom around on the map and also rotate the map to look at it from a different angle and look at your data. You can also tick on and off the different parts of the theme, just like I showed you before. And here we can see we isolated the very high turnover point over there. Now, once data is added to SpatialXL from a worksheet, it is linked up, so you can also navigate in the opposite direction and select items on the map and have them selected back in the Excel worksheet. For example, I'm going to select a certain point here, which will be this very high turnover point that I'm looking at. And then I'll choose the Select in Excel button, choose the worksheet. You can even have it color the background of the point in the worksheet if you want, or color the text. But if you leave those ticked off and just say select, it will just highlight it for you here in the worksheet. Now I'll show you something else I also did here with my data by going to the next part of my storyboard. Right, so you can see on the map here, I actually have a shapefile with some shapes of the different district municipalities of the country here. Using SpatialXL, I actually classified my points to say what district municipality they lie within, and this is in the data here. This was also added to the data model, and then a pivot was inserted from that as well. You can see here a pivot on the district municipality to get the sum of visits, sum of turnover, and count of customers for each area. I then added that pivot to SpatialXL, and then once it was added to SpatialXL, I can then do various theming and analytics on it. So you can see here it was added as a layer called Demo Pivot in SpatialXL, and this is my actual district municipality shape layer. I link these two up in SpatialXL with the relation that you can do, so that I can do a theming on the shapes while it's linked up to my pivot, which is in the worksheet over here. So you can see a theme I did over here on the number of visits for each area, the sum of visits, and I have a text label showing as well. The text label is showing the number of visits and the name of the district municipality. Similarly, I can also tick on and off the different parts of this theme to isolate the areas by the number of visits. The nice thing with SpatialXL as well is that you can do compound text labels, meaning you can show text labels for more than one column of your data at once on the map. For example, I have 2 showing here on number of visits and the name of the area. You can do even more than that and have 4 text labels showing at once for the area on the map. What I can also do is filter the pivot itself. Over here, for example, on the club status, I'm going to filter it to only show the gold club status points. And as I do that, you can see the numbers have actually updated on the map here. I want to go to silver. You can see that updates too. The actual text label numbers update, as well as the coloring of the theme updates as I filter my pivot over here. Put them all back on, and there we go. Now I did another theme here on the sum of turnover for each area. You can see it showing here with the text label as well as a coloring, which I can also tick on and off. And similarly, if I actually filter my pivot over here on my club status again to only show a certain club status of silver, then it also automatically updates on the map over here with the numbers and the coloring. Now you can do these various things with the data straight from Excel in SpatialXL over here. Now you might want to use Power BI for various charts and different things, which is totally fine. SpatialXL itself also has dashboarding ability that you can use if you so choose. If you go to the View tab here and go to Dashboards, I'm going to bring up a dashboard that I have. And you can see this dashboard is just showing the sales by region and visits by region, as well as the total sales and total visits. And this dashboard is also linked up directly with your data here in SpatialXL, so that if I filter my map here and only show certain areas, you can see as I'm filtering here, it's also updating on my dashboard over here that I set up in SpatialXL. So you also have that ability. And that is the demonstration on how you can use SpatialXL to do various analytics on your data with data that can also be used in Power BI. You can use it straight in SpatialXL as well, straight from Excel. Thank you.